I had a really hard time getting this thing here squared up. Found out my saw wasn't cutting exactly straight. Wasn't cutting it exactly a 90 degree. And then whenever I got this thing here put in here, I was like, from the corner to corner, it was 113 and a quarter. And this way, it was like 112 and 3/4 or 7/8, something like that. It's supposed to be the same, measuring either way. That's how you know you got it square. So I took this piece and I just kept snipping off a little bit of it at a time, and then that would, draw this corner here up a little bit, and then we put the screws in over there. That would draw it in, and it kept pulling. And now I got it dead on the money. I think it's 113. Let's see. That's just a smidge over 113. 113 and like a 16th maybe. And then this way, let's see. It's right on 113. So I'm off like a 16th of an inch maybe. It might be right at an eighth. That's like 112 and 15 sixteenths, I think, but that's close enough for government work. That'll work at least. Man, this thing was kicking my ass, because man, I fought this thing before lunch, and I should have already had this thing already done. I didn't have near this much trouble with them other two over there. So I don't know what happened with my saw. It's not cutting this at exactly a good flat straight 90 degrees. It was off just a little bit, and I was tightening the screws up. It would pull it. So I said, well, what the fracking hell? I was just fighting this thing, and it was fighting me. So the problem, of course, now it's not a grade A saw. It's a win. It's done great for me so far. Let's see, it's supposed to be, shouldn't see any daylight up under that, and you do just a little bit. So that right there is not cut exactly at a 90 degree. It's pretty freaking close, so I have to admit. And then let's see what this in here looks like. And that in there looks good. So I don't know. Might have been me. I don't know. It's not the best quality saw in the world, but it's done great for me doing this until I started doing these doors. Like I say, the other two doors didn't have this problem. But it's like everything else. Just like we went on our vacation. Went down to the Florida Keys, and going down there, we made a couple of stops going down. We stopped in Tallahassee, Florida. Spent a night there, I think it was, and might have been 2 nights. I can't remember now. Then went on down towards Orlando down there. We stayed down there. We went to a flea market and did a little browsing, bought a few little odds and ends things. And then we went from there on down to the Florida Keys. And we got down and stayed down at one place, I think it was like 5 days, called the Grassy Keys, I think it is. And beautiful view, beautiful weather. I mean, it was just so nice weather, man. You couldn't ask for better weather. But and then when we left there and was coming back, trying to come back towards home, we had a spot rented at a place called Yellow Jacket in Sewanee, Florida. Man, that was off the beaten path down a little old dirt road. My RV's covered in mud. Then when we was going to Sewanee, or Yellow Jacket RV park, when we left the Keys, I stopped at a gas station, a racetrack, and filled up with diesel. Well, I left my daggone keys hanging in the fuel door. So I lost those keys. You know, my wife, she got a little upset with me about that, and she had all right to. I mean, it was my stupidity. I just weren't paying attention to what I was doing. And so then we get that little RV park. I said, well, I'm going to go throw out the trash, trying to figure where the dumpsters were. So I went out, put the trash in my Jeep. I'm going to throw it in the dumpster. Get around the dumpster gates was locked. Well, that was the big gates. I said, well, crap. So I was going to come back in, and they let down this little drop-down gate. You know, that you got to have a code for it to raise up. Well, they hadn't given me no code. And I had a voicemail from them, you know, but I couldn't check it because I didn't have no phone signal out. We were so far out in the daggone woods. Didn't have no phone signal. So I finally seen one of the other residents in there, and they told me what the gate code was, and I got it open. And I was getting really aggravated. I was trying to keep my composure, you know. I said I was going to try to change, you know, a little bit. And well, whenever we left the next morning, we had it rented for 2, but we had a problem at the house also. Daggone, we kept trying to look at our cameras online, and we couldn't see our cameras. Our cameras offline. So I called my boss man, asked him could he come and check to see if the power was out. And I said, well, if the power was out, my generator should have kicked on. We come out here, and he said, no, you ain't got no lights on in your porch or anything. I said, well, I guess the power's out. I said, is the meter on? He went, yeah, your meter's on. I said, well, why didn't my generator kick on? So he come out here to my garage, and he said, well, your power's on out here at your garage. I said, well, damn, something's wrong then. The main breaker's bad or something else. So I told him where a spare key was, and he come in the house, went and checked the breaker back there, and it was fine. So he checked the main breaker out there at the pole, and he said it didn't feel right to him. So they come out here to my garage. I just put a new 200 amp panel in here. The current took the main out of it and put it in out there at the pole from my main out there. And so it was just one fiasco after another. So then we left the Yellow Jacket and was going down, got off that dirt road, got on the highway, going along, and I felt something kind of pull the RV just a little bit. And I looked back and I seen some tire rubber flying up on the road over there. I said, God, I done blew a tire on the motorhome. So I got out there and got to looking, stopped, pulled off the side of the road, got to look, checked all the tires looked good. I said, well, what in the world? Because one of my tire sensors that monitors the tire pressure was out. It went bad. And I thought, well, God, that's the one that went out. But it wasn't. All the tires looked good. So I got back in the RV, didn't think nothing about it. Going down the road, I seen this guy come by in the car and kept said, look, pointing like I need to pull over to the side of the road. I said, what the devil? So I pulled on over the side of the road, got to check the tires again. On the RV, didn't see nothing wrong. And I just happened to walk back there around the Jeep, and the left front tire was completely gone. It was just running on the damn rim. Done chewed that rim all to pieces. I said, oh, my Lord. So I get out there and I get my spare. I had a spare, almost like a brand new spare, but it was flat. It had no air at all. So I said, well, I'll pump it up. I got an air hose on the RV. I mean, you have a quick connect out there at the front near the generator where you can hook up an air hose and pump up your tires if you needed to. Well, the hose wasn't on there. I left the daggone hose at the house. I said, oh, my Lord, what else can go wrong? So then I get looking in the Jeep for a jacket. And, we bought that thing like 3 years ago just to pull behind the motorhome. I ain't never had no reason to even look for a jack on it. When I go look for a jack, there ain't a jack on there either. And man, I was just losing it. My wife, believe it or not, was just calm about it. She said, don't get all upset. We just chalk this up as a learning experience and everything, about what not to do, the next time we go on the trip. She was really calm. I was just amazed how calm she was. And I'm glad she was because I was already pissed off enough for a dozen people. So we had to unhook from the Jeep, go back, I think it was like 12 miles, back the way we came to Perry, Florida, to the nearest Walmart. Went there and got in to pump up my tire, got them checking, make sure it didn't have no leaks. I went and bought me one of those small little 2-ton little floor jacks. Bought one of those and bought one of those little small little air compressors so I could check the rest of the air in the Jeep tires. And got in, but we burned up over 2 hours doing all that. You know, so it was just a terrible, terrible trip on the way back. Going down, it was pretty nice. You know, stayed in one little park that was just so tight, man. You couldn't hardly drive your RV down the little lanes they had. It's tight. And the spot they gave me was right next to a tree, and the pedestal for the power was up near the front of the RV, and the wastewater and the freshwater hookup was near the tail end. So if I pulled in like I was supposed to, I couldn't reach neither one with anything because the power was too far away. If I pulled up far enough for the power to reach, then my other wouldn't reach to the water and the waste. I said, well, what in the world? And plus, I was so close to the tree, I couldn't even let the bedroom slide out. So I had to go back up there, tell them I need to get another space, and they put me in another spot. But it was terrible coming back. I mean, terrible the whole way. And my wife just stayed so calm about it. I was really proud because I was so daggone mad. I was just kicking my ass, beating myself up the whole damn time. But, prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Remember that. Is that the 5 P's? Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. The 6 P's. Or else said on, construction work. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Well, believe me, my wife already said she's going to make up some sheets and everything and what we need to check and everything. Like we stop for gas, a little checklist for that, to go around, check the tires, check the Jeep, make sure I got the gas cap, the diesel fuel cap on and the diesel fuel door shut. And they got a lock. It's a lock type key, a round key. And I don't know why you got to have a lock. I think I'm going to change this, put just a twist lock on that damn thing. But, and then we're going to make one for every time we leave a RV park. We'll have a little checklist to check everything, I did try to take off one time with my jacks down. I didn't always use my leveling jacks every time. There'd be sometimes, I would, I'd just, it seemed like it set level enough. But definitely got to have a checklist. And there was some stuff we forgot. I didn't have all the tools I really should have had on the RV. So I got to make sure I got everything I need to have on the Jeep and everything I need to have on the RV, especially like tools and stuff like that, and all of our necessities we got to have for the bathrooms, bathroom and food. So she's going to make us up a list. I mean, she's really good at that stuff. She's really good at planning stuff. I've always winged everything, just by the seat of my damn britches, and that's the shit that happens to you right there. When you start trying to wing every damn thing, just grab it and go, you always forget half of what you're supposed to take. So, needless to say, if we make another trip, which I still got to work on, or it run terrible coming back. It did great going down. But it run terrible going down, coming back. Couldn't hardly get up no speed. Getting up a hill, man, it was just struggling getting up a hill. But that's something else I got to work on. So it's just one of them things. I mean, it's just. But let's see if we can't finish this thing here up. Trying to get this thing done, get these doors up. Let's see. 3/4 of an inch on each side. Yeah, needs to say that was a learning experience, trust me. Of what not to do. Man, I tell you what, I felt so bad about everything that was happening, you know. Luckily, we was in RV, motorhome. That's the good thing, because hadn't been for that, you know, we'd have been broke down any other way. My wife, she'd have had to sit outside or just sit in a, you know, and with that motorhome, we had the generator running, and it was just clicking right along, which was great. And had a refrigerator and a bathroom and everything. So, you know, that's the good thing about a motorhome. Bad thing about a, you know, motorhome, especially a 40-footer. And a lot of people got something a lot bigger than that. They got them 45-footers, 42-footers, and so on and so forth. It's just getting in and out of places. They didn't design these RV parks for daggone big motorhomes. They designed them mainly for travel. Of course, now I've seen some of them trucks pulling these fifth wheels. Them buggers, man. You're talking about the trailer's almost 40 foot, and then you got the length of your truck. So, my Lord have mercy, you got, Jesus, what, 60, 70 foot or so? You trying to finagle that thing in somewhere? Oh my goodness. I don't know how people do it. I really don't. But they do. More power to them is all I can say. Man, I knew I wouldn't want to have to do that. Man, that's just unbelievably tight. Something that big. But live and learn. That saying goes. I have got to work on that motorhome. It's just running. I know I got some electrical issues for one thing. Freaking daggone steps was going in and out on their own constantly. So 27 and 5/8. Yep, they're 26 and 5/8. But what can you do? You know, it's just one of them things. That ain't gonna be long enough. Another thing got me too is that place where I left the keys. Boy, that's just got a big ass bow in that now. That is not good at all. Great. It's like bowed that bad. I mean, damn. Well, it don't look like it's bowed. Maybe one of these is bowed. They look pretty straight when I got them. Yeah, this one here is bowed. Man, that's another thing I've been fighting with this from day one of this lumber situation. It's just so crappy. It's just hard to get good straight lumber anymore, period, of any kind. So I don't know. I do not know what's going to happen with this mess. Now I got to cut another board to get that straight. Well, I'm going to stop this, I guess, for now. Because I got to do some finagling around here. But if you're going to make trips, even if you're not in the motorhome, always be sure to check your tires, check your spare, check all that kind of stuff. You know, make sure you got a jack. Check your air in the tires, you know, before you leave. Check your oil, your radiator, all that stuff. Check all that stuff, especially going on line. If it's a little short trip, you can get by, probably, you know, because you're not far from home. But when you get off, you know, 200-300 miles away from home, you kind of SOL. So that's just, you know, and I ought to know better. I should have, you know, luckily I did have a big, huge DeWalt socket set on there, but all I needed was just a socket to take the lugs off. I mean, you know, if I'd have had a lug wrench, I could have done it with that. But I did have that. I had a big pull handle, so that made it easier. Like I say, I should have had one of my battery impacts. Should have had one of them on there, and I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't. I can't answer that question either. But I always try to be on the precautious side, check everything, take extra if you needed to, you know. Even in a car, you need to have your small tool set, you know, with a pair of pliers, a crescent wrench, screwdrivers, a couple of screwdrivers, a Phillips and a flat. You know, just, you don't never know exactly what you got to have. So just, you know, have your little bag, you know, where you can keep it in the trunk, you know. You can get these small socket sets, you know, like a 3/8 drive, 1/2 inch drive, a small one to put on there, you know, so you got a few sockets and a few wrenches. You get a little small pack of combination wrenches, you know, metrics and standard. Throw that in a bag too. So try to be prepared, more prepared than what I was. I really screwed the pooch on this one. And I still can't believe how bad, how I did not check nothing, especially on that Jeep. You know, we've been pulling that Jeep now for 3 years. Never had a problem. Never had a problem. So I don't know if I picked up something when we left that yellow jacket, that dirt road we was on. I don't know if I picked up something that left front tire, because I drove it the night before we left to go try to take that garbage off, and it was fine. Or it seemed like it was fine. So I don't know. All I know is that tire can come completely apart. The only thing left on that rim was a little bit of that rubber that's still seated on the bead, and a bunch of steel wire from it being a steel belted radial. And the rest of the tire was completely gone, and the rim was plumb down on the outside. I mean, it just eat the crap out of it. So it's completely ruined, the wheel is. So it's just, you know, again, always be prepared and check everything. Well, everybody have a good day. Better than me, I hope, you know, because I'm still fighting this door because I can't figure why that thing's kind of humped up in the center. I just don't understand why, because this side over here is kind of humped up. So it shouldn't even rock like it was doing. So I don't understand what's going on with that. But I'll figure it out. It's just taking me again twice as long as it ought to be taking me. Y'all have a good day.